What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Good Game Reviews. Here to do another game prediction. We are in week 17 with the New York Jets coming to face the New England Patriots. We made it. Also, we made it to 2021. Happy New Year's to y'all out there. Let's go ahead, start with the stuff at the beginning, the quarterback position. The advantage that I wanted to give out first is to the New York Jets. This is for quarterback. Sam Darnold, as you know, hasn't played a full season. He's only played 11 games. But in the last few games that he has played, he's looked pretty good. He's looked very comfortable. He's making plays. He's scoring. Uh, I mean, he does have only 8 touchdowns with 9 interceptions, but that should be expected for a guy who hasn't played, nearly enough games to, kind of consider all of those numbers. However, if we look at New England's quarterback with Cam Newton, he has played 14 games and he only has 5 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. So while we can look at Sam Darnold and say, okay, we understand why his numbers look the way they do, but as far as Cam's numbers, it's just been bad play. It's just been bad quarterback play. And unlike Sam Darnold, in the last few games, we have not seen a good stretch of games from Cam Newton. It has been anything but in these last few games. That's just the truth about it. So I feel comfortable giving Sam Darnold this, even though the numbers, if you were to just go ahead and look at the numbers, it would say that Cam Newton is having a better season, but it's kind of skewed based on the number of games that both of these guys have played. So I'm giving the advantage to Sam Darnold on this one. He's just looking better coming into this matchup. As far as the running back position goes, I decided to go with the Patriots on this one. Now, Frank Gore for the Jets, he's on IR. He's not coming back. Ty Johnson is pretty much their starter, but I don't really like what I see from him. They pretty much have to clean that whole situation as far as running back goes. They're gonna have to do something in the draft or something in free agency, but they just have to fix that whole situation because after they got rid of Le'Veon Bell, who was pretty much a shell of himself, they didn't really have anything to follow that. So nothing really at the running back position. You look at the averages; they're pretty mediocre. They're pretty, kind of, 3.5 here, 3.3 there. Nothing that stands out as far as the rushing averages go. On the opposite end, the Patriots, while they don't have while they don't have, Damian Harris coming into this game, he's declared out for this game. Also, James White, he hasn't, looked like the James White of old. But Sony Michel's been doing pretty good these last few games. He's been running the ball very nicely these last few games. Over 6 yards per carry in his last few games, in his last 2 games, I know. So nice things to look for, going into the future. We can't write off Sony Michel just yet. I know a lot of people want to, but it looks like he still has it. So that should just add to the strength of the Patriots running back room going into next season. So let's just, be grateful for that. Also, a nice little surprise, J.J. Taylor, undrafted free agent, rookie. He's also been looking nice, averaging around 4.6 yards a carry. I mean, he's not Damian Harris, he's not Sony Michel, but he runs the ball very nicely. He finds the holes, and even though for his small size, he's got a little toughness in him. He can put his shoulder into people, gain some extra yards that way. He's a very tough, little running back. I mean, I don't want to say it like that, but hey, I mean, I'm not that tall myself, so shout out to the short guys out there. But yeah, I like what I've seen with the Patriots running back room, and even with the injuries to Rex Burkhead and Damian Harris, huge blows, but they still find a way to keep the train moving with that running back room, and that's probably their strongest spot, or one of their strongest spots on that team. So moving on to wide receiver, I'm already going to go ahead and give this advantage to the New York Jets simply because as far as yards, Patriots got them beat in that. Everything else, yards average per catch, touchdowns, first downs, they're pretty much beat in terms of that by the Jets. Um, Crowder has been looking very, very deadly these last few weeks, and I mean we shouldn't expect anything less. It's Jamison Crowder, so he's always going to look good. Uh, I'm liking what I'm seeing in Denzel Mims and the little spurts that I get to see him in. You don't really get to see him a lot often. He was one of my favorites coming into the previous draft that we just had, the recent draft, excuse me. Um, haven't seen a lot from him this season. Numbers are very, very small, but hopefully we get to see a little bit more of him next year. He's a nice piece to that team. At least adds in terms of touchdowns. Perriman, he also adds in terms of scoring. So that's something that the Jets have over the New England Patriots. It's just if that's one thing that plagues them, it's their ability to score. We saw it in the last game with Demir Bird, who had a touchdown in his hands, but dropped it, and he never saw another opportunity like that for the rest of the night. So you just got to make the most of those opportunities. As far as the Patriots, just overall, their wide receiver room, Jacoby Myers, pretty much the only reliable wide receiver that they have. Kind of like the Julian Edelman of this year. Only reliable guy that they really have. Other than that, everybody else is just pretty much a wash in my book. Probably won't see them after this season is concluded. It's going to be a lot of cleaning house come this off season, so prepare to see a lot of faces go. As far as the tight end position, I'm also giving that to the New York Jets. This also happens to be a very noticeable weakness for the Patriots. Not a lot of production in that area. Dalton Keene, other than 2 receptions, non-existent, only 10 yards from those receptions, nothing to offer. Devin Asiasi, who was their first tight end selected, hasn't even registered a catch. So make it that as you will. As far as the Jets, Henderson, pretty so-so guy, pretty reliable. He obviously outplays them in terms of production. He has more yards, more receptions. So not even really anything to discuss there. So let's just move on to the next one. Offensive line. Now with the Jets, as far as ranking goes, they're ranked among the lower 5 teams in terms of offensive line. If I remember correctly, they were either next to last or 2 spots next to last, but they're pretty low as far as their ranking, as far as their offensive line goes. Patriots, however, while they are ranked among that top 15 in terms of offensive lines, they're ranked number 9. They have lost some pieces throughout the season, and especially coming into this next game. David Andrews, the center, he's out for this game. Shaq Mason, the right guard, he's out for this game. You already knew the situation with Isaiah Wynn. He's been on IR. The lineup that you might expect to go into this game, Frodo probably plays center. Michael Winu, he's probably going to play right guard. Cunningham's probably going to play right tackle. And then you're going to have Justin Herron at left tackle and, of course, Joe Tooney at left guard. That's pretty much the matchup that I think we're going to see. So expect that. Maybe they switch it over as far as the tackles go, but I think that's pretty much going to be the lineup that you see coming into this game. Even though with the losses at the offensive line position, I still give the New England Patriots the advantage in this one. I think just as far as depth goes, they have the guys who can step into place, especially Owenu. I think he'll be very comfortable stepping into that right guard role. He won't really miss a beat. Cunningham is another story. Got to keep an eye on him as far as that right tackle position goes, but I feel like everything else would be, pretty much A-OK as far as, just movement on the line and things like that. Cam Newton just gonna have to get rid of the ball fast. That's it. Um, Defensive end. I'm going with the Patriots on this one. As a matter of fact, as far as the whole defensive line goes, defensive ends, defensive tackles, I'm going with the Patriots on this one. Only because they have the guys there. They might be beat up, but they're going to be out there Sunday. Can't really say the same for the Jets. Their best guy as far as the defensive tackle position, Quentin Williams, he's on IR. You probably already know this, but he's on IR. And besides him, not a lot of production coming from that defensive tackle position. Also, same could be said for the defensive end position. So while the Patriots haven't been spectacular in that spot either, very lackluster, they're just a notch better than what the Jets have to offer. So I gave them the advantage on both of those ends. Linebacker, however, that's for the Jets. You already know the Patriots fans. You should already know the situation for the linebackers for the Patriots. You have guys who left during the offseason, guys who opted out, guys who got injured, young guys who are pretty much beat up coming into this game. We saw Josh Uche walk off the field in the last game. We saw Jennings looking kind of nicked up in that last game. A lot of injuries spread over that linebacker position. It's pretty much non-existent. So they already didn't have the production. Now they're coming in this game beat up. Really, your only guy that you could probably depend on coming in here, Therese Hall. And he's great when it comes to being in the box, but as far as coverage, I mean, it's just so. Yeah, that's just the situation for the Patriots, the linebacker position. For the Jets, while they don't really have a lot of guys to offer, they still have good pieces left there. Neville Hewitt, he's pretty much their best defensive player on the team. 127 tackles overall for the whole season. He's done pretty nicely for them. They have linebackers, so I'll just say that they have guys on the team. They got production, so I'm giving the advantage to them. As far as the secondary goes, I'm going with the Patriots. Just the secondary as a whole, cornerback and safety. Reason why, if the Patriots have been hit by injuries, same can be said for the Jets. They've been dealing with a lot of injuries, especially a lot of key guys. They got a couple key guys on IR. And just overall, not really a lot of playmakers in that secondary to begin with. Maybe Marcus May as far as the safety position goes, but everybody else is just kind of either average or just below average. Not a lot of, things that you can kind of highlight as far as the secondary goes. Now, the Patriots, on the other hand, while they are without Stephon Gilmore, they still got some guys that they can kind of depend on. J.C. Jackson, when he's on, he's on. All right, 8 interceptions, tied second for the league. He's been pretty nice. Jonathan Jones still doing the thing out there. You got new guys like Miles Bryant, who occasionally comes in and does a pretty solid job. Devin McCourty, he's Devin McCourty. Just a lot of bright spots around that whole secondary. Obviously a strength for the team. Wish you could say it for other places on the team, but I mean, it is what it is. What can you say? So I'm going to go ahead and give them the advantage as far as that goes. So yeah, special teams. If I told you that the Jets didn't have a kicker, would you believe me? Probably not. And it's not true. They have a kicker. But as far as his stat line goes, nothing really that you can find. They got 2 guys on there who haven't played since, I want to say a month ago probably or more. They've been feeling it at the kicker position. I thought that the Patriots were probably going to be in that same boat. Luckily, Nick Folk, he has been spectacular. Well, I won't go that far. I won't go like, oh, he's just been, but he's been pretty good. He's been pretty good, especially, considering all of the hate that, myself included and other fans gave him coming into this season, like, oh man, Nick Folk, oh, like what are we gonna do? And yeah, but he's been solid. He's been really good. So we can just tip our hats off to him. Jake Bailey, we already know we love him. He's great, best punter in the league, my opinion. Don't care what you think. And Gunnar Olszewski, great return man. Special teams aces like Matthew Slater, Justin Bethel, just guys spread all over that special teams unit who just makes plays and does a good job. So, yeah, I'm going with the New England Patriots on this one as far as special teams goes. And with the last spot of this comparison list, we have coaching. Now, Bill Belichick has underperformed, in my opinion, as far as coaching goes this season. I don't know what it is. It just seems like we've seen like a different guy. The commercials and, all the positivity that he puts on Cam, doesn't really say anything negative about him. It just seems like I don't know what it is, but he just seems different to me this season, and not in a good way. It seemed like a couple games he just gets outsmarted or he outsmarts himself. It just hasn't been a solid ride this season. But if I can say that for Bill Belichick, I can definitely say that for Adam Gase. Adam Gase is terrible. He has no business coaching, at least no business being a head coach, and most likely is going to get fired at the end of the season. His ride is done. As far as head coaching goes, he's done. Now, can he find a job as an offensive coordinator or a wide receiver coach or something like that? Possibly. Maybe some noise talking about the Patriots. I don't know. But he might find some other means of employment in the NFL. He just won't be a head coach. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with Bill Belichick on this one. If it's one coach I know he can outsmart, it's Adam Gase. Honest truth. So with all that being said, looking at the list, a lot of advantages fall to the Patriots on this one. I'm going to go with the Patriots to win this game. It's going to be a very ugly game, don't get me wrong. But this is just going to be one of those games where we kind of walk out of here limping and, we're just looking towards the future in this. It's a rebuild. Got a lot of things to solve as far as, the offense, defense, quarterback-wise, wide receiver-wise, tight end-wise, linebacker-wise, you name it, whatever-wise. Penny-wise, I don't care. It's a lot of things that they got to fix. So let's just enjoy this last game. It's the last game of the season. Cheer our team on and hope for the best for next season. And share a little love for the Bills fans and the Dolphins fans. They're not too used to this whole playoff aroma that we have been kind of spoiled to enjoying over the past couple of years. So just be happy for your AFC East rivals. Let's just show them some love. All right, that's pretty much all I got. Next, you'll get the review. After that, couple of videos, is concerning draft picks and whatnot. But as far as the season goes, that's pretty much it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Until next time, I'm out.